Reviewing another new release, today we got The Woman in the Yard. This is the newest Blumhouse feature film. If you know what Blumhouse is, you know that I basically don't look forward to any of these movies, especially like this one, because I feel like it would just be, look over there, boo, kind of movie where the jump scares are like that, and it's just kind of boring, predictable, seen thousands of movies like that. But I went to see it anyways, and here is my review. Before I dive into it, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, and comment down below what is your opinions on The Woman in the Yard. This is so far a very controversial movie. At the end of the video, I'm going to discuss my thoughts on the ending and why I did indeed love this movie. And so, if you haven't seen the movie, kind of avoid the comment section, because people, if you're going to say spoilers, talk about the ending, put a big spoiler warning down there. And with that said, let's dive right into The Woman in the Yard. And this was a very surprising movie for me. This is the most surprising movie of 2025 for me so far, because I loved it. I really, really, really did love The Woman in the Yard. The first two acts of this are kind of like a compelling horror film. Obviously, we get so many movies where it's, oh, family member dies, one member or the family is struck by grief. They're so sad. We get thousands of horror movies like that. This is one of those movies where the characters are struck by grief. Their father died. Her husband died. They're struck by grief. They're stuck in a house. But this one's able to just be so compelling and interesting because of the themes that it was going for. Now, I'm going to talk spoilers in the end, but the themes in this movie, very personal to a lot of people. They were personal to me. And so I could see it be really triggering to some people. For me, I thought they were handled really well. For me, I thought that's what made the movie for me, was the themes that we got here. But kind of alludes to that the entire movie. The entire movie, you're thinking, oh, who's this woman in the yard? I want to know more about this woman in the yard. I want to know all that. Scenes that the woman in the yard are in are very kind of creepy and interesting. And it's just, all that helps you stay invested in this movie. You have characters that are interesting. You have the woman in the yard, who is a very cool and kind of creepy force to be reckoned with here. And you have the grief aspect and the themes, and it all helps you stay invested. Another thing that I loved about this movie is that it's only an hour and a half long. So, like, you get 20 minutes in the beginning kind of setting it up, and then you get right into the woman in the yard stuff and the more compelling stuff here. It doesn't waste any time getting us through the stuff that we actually come to this movie to watch. And that's another thing I really loved about this movie, is that just kind of throws you in there. You're just kind of fully on invested the entire time. Now, I could see a lot of people like, oh, we didn't like this movie because it's Blumhouse and get the jump scares. They didn't really do that. This movie felt like it had more sauce than a normal Blumhouse movie. I am totally going to kill his name. I apologize, but Jamie Colette Sarah, I believe I said that right, is a great director. He's made some great movies. Carry On was another movie from last year that I really did enjoy. He's made the original Orphan. He did Jungle Cruise, which it wasn't the best movie, but like those are some of the most notable ones. He is a great director, and he has a sauce here. The stuff that they do with shadows in the movie was really cool, where you'll just be watching the characters front and center, and in the background you'll see like this certain shadow. You knew from the very beginning of the movie that shadows were going to come into like a basic plot point in here. Just the way that you see the shadows, and it just enhances the story as well a little bit. And so this movie definitely has the sauce. In a lot of Blumhouse movies where it's just the jump scares, like, look over there. No, look over there. Oh, now you're up the front center. Boo, jump scare. This movie does more than that. It's able to be scary because of the shadows in the background. I'm not saying this movie was scary. I wasn't scared while watching this movie. It's more like, oh, cool. Oh, cool. That direction is very cool. And the style that was brought to this movie was very cool. And it definitely did enhance the experience. So with that, the themes, the characters I thought were compelling. Now, obviously, a lot of people can say, like, the kid was just unbearable. The mom was kind of a crappy mom. But you got to understand, you're going to this point in their lives, and to hammer the plot home, to hammer the themes home that we need to get for the woman in the yard, the characters did have to be unbearable and unlikable. Because the themes in this movie really did work. Because you have to handle all of this to get to the themes in the end. I am genuinely baffled by the fact that people don't like this ending. That people don't like the themes in this movie. Because I thought they were perfect. I thought they were handled really, really well. throughout the entire movie, I thought it was building up to that perfectly. And I thought it really, really, really worked. So this is more than a typical Blumhouse movie because of the story. Like I said, we'll get to spoilers here in a few minutes. But the direction was great, and the themes, and it was just really investing the entire time. Normally in a movie like this, I could see me getting bored. I was invested the entire time. Now, a couple sequences, you did have the Blumhouse isms, just like one or two times. It wasn't overbearing like a lot of the time it was, where, oh, look over there, jump scare. It did that once or twice. The mom, if you're going by basic horror movie, which this is not a basic horror movie, it's something else. But if you're going by a basic horror movie, a horror movie that's less than this one, rather. The mom makes some really stupid decisions, like, oh, we have an opportunity to go to the neighbor's house and get help, but she's not going to let her children leave the house. No. So we have a huge opportunity to get help, but the children can't leave the house. Like, I know it's more than that normal horror movie where we go and the ending was something completely different and unique, but that aspect there, like, the mom was really stupid. So that's all things that I call Blumhouse isms. It's not the biggest issue in the world. It's not the biggest problem because the movie ended up being more than that. But still, the movie does have the Blumhouse isms. And if you're going into this for a horror movie like that, and you don't like Blumhouse, it still has the same issues. So go ahead and skip a little bit into the future. If you haven't seen the movie, here's where I'm going to start talking about the ending here and the thoughts that I had with the ending, why they made the movie for me. And so go ahead and skip about, I'd say, 3 minutes into the future, and I'll get to my final score. Spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Bam, we're diving into spoilers. So the ending of the movie, it kind of alluded to it the whole time that the mother had depression. She was sad. Obviously, her husband died. We learned that it's her fault later on. So you get that aspect in here. And it kind of was alluding to that throughout the entire movie. I kind of have a feeling that's where it was going. But the way it was handled in the end of the movie, I thought was really, really good. I thought they handled it perfectly. Where the woman in the yard turns out to be depression. She was, like, the woman in the yard was the embodiment of the depression that the mother has. And you kind of feel that, especially as you go into the third act, like, oh, yeah, I know exactly where this is going. And I loved it for that. There's not a lot of movies that I personally see. Now, there could be a lot of movies out there. I haven't seen a lot of movies like that go through stuff like depression and suicide. And I thought it was handled really well. Which is really what really confuses me why a lot of people are hating on this movie. Because that aspect, the exploration of depression, the exploration of suicide, really, really, really worked for me and hit home for me. I don't think there's been a horror movie that I was impacted by this much in a long time. Like, this isn't like a top 10 horror movie of the decade so far. No, it's not. But for a Blumhouse movie, for a movie I was fully expecting, knowing that I could possibly hate the movie, to go that direction and pretty much nail it was perfectly. So it's personal to me because, and not to go too far into it, but last year for about 3 months, I did struggle with something like that, suicidal thoughts a little bit. And I didn't go through with it, thank God. But it's something that it's been in the back of my head for a long time, just aspects like that. Not as near as much as a lot of other people, but just things that have been in my head a lot of my life. And so that aspect really, really, really hit home for me. And like the sequence where the depression is saying, it's okay, everyone will be better off without you, you can finally let go, I thought was brilliant. I was close to tears at the end of this movie because of how it was handled. I thought it was handled perfectly. And I know it could be triggering for some people, but for someone that has dealt with something like this, I felt it, like everyone could be better off without you. And so it's very emotional in that aspect and almost brought me to tears at the end of the movie. Literally, when she walks out of the house, I almost started cheering, like, oh, she didn't go through with it. It's such a good ending here. And then we get, like, the ending. And it's very controversial. This aspect is very controversial because apparently they might have sent out 2 endings where you see the entire name spelled backwards, and then there's one where you see the R spelled backwards. My interpretation of the ending is that she did go through with it, and it was just kind of like a metaphor for like, oh, this is what would have happened if she didn't. But I think she did go through with it and eventually, you know, ended her own life. And so, like, you don't see horror movies like this. Like, well, you do. There's plenty of horror movies like this, I'm sure. I haven't seen a horror movie like this. Like, I thought it was well done, where you have the direction that was perfect. The themes in the end was very, very, very sad and really effective for me. And so, on a personal level, I thought it was very effective. I thought it really worked. I really, really dug The Woman in the Window. So, I mean, I know that it's not going to work for everybody, obviously. It's not working for everybody, but for me, this is personally one of my favorites of the year so far. I thought The Woman in the Window was really good. Before I give you my final score, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, and comment down below what is your opinions on The Woman in the Window. If you're going to leave spoilers about your interpretation of the ending, big spoiler warning down below. And with that said, The Woman in the Window has a fantastic direction by Colette Sarah, who, like, has so much style. And the themes in the movie really made it for me. And I was just kind of investing the whole way throughout. There are very light Blumhouse-isms, not as near as much as you'd expect going into a Blumhouse movie. But those could break the movie for you a little bit. They didn't really affect me. But if the themes were any different, I think that it possibly could have affected my final score here. For me, I'm going to give The Woman in the Window an A-. I really did enjoy this movie. It's going to be one of my biggest hot takes of the year so far. But if you guys have seen the movie, what do you guys think of it? And if you haven't seen the movie, I do recommend you go out to check it out. Unless you have... It's going to be very hard because, like I said, the themes can be very triggering for a lot of people. I don't want people to go into this movie and hate it because they think it was handled terribly. I thought it was handled perfectly good, the themes that they go here, but they can be really triggering themes for a lot of people. So go watch this movie at your own risk. With that said, thank you guys for clicking on this video, and subscribe.